Okay, I'm going to show you how to install a timing belt on a 2.0 Dodge Neon. It's a 2000 Neon single overhead cam engine. Many of these engines are very similar to this. The dual overhead cam is a little more challenging to put the belt on. I had to remove the cylinder head, so the belt had to come off. Now I'm going back together. As you can see, it's kind of loose on there. You start out by putting your belt over the crankshaft first. If you look underneath here, there's a lip around the outside of this gear. So you kind of have to feed it in at an angle coming from the bottom up to slide it around, mesh in with the teeth, and slide on there. As you can see, the marks are not easy to see, so I'm going to pause. Okay, now I've marked the pulley. It is far more easier to see now. Those of you that are optically challenged like myself, I highly recommend that you do mark the pulleys, the gears, and the block. And I'll show you up above here on the top where I've marked it also. So that way you get everything lined up. Then you put the belt on, and then you take the slack out with the slack adjuster, which brings me to another topic. The slack adjuster is a hydraulic adjuster, and in the top of it there's a pin. Okay, when you take things apart, that pin's going to extend out of there, and it's going to come out of there a little ways. It's going to stick out the end here. There's no way you can put it back in there like that and do a decent job. So you're going to have to take this to a vise and squeeze it together, and then there's a little hole down inside there that lines up. Put a pin through. Make sure you put it through from the right direction, otherwise you won't be able to assemble it. And if you notice, the holes are slotted. Okay, once you put it together, you're going to pry up on the bottom of this with a screwdriver or something like that, maybe, and then preload this thing to where you can pull this pin out with your fingers and put it right back in there. Then you know you got the tension set properly. Okay, continuing on, went ahead and threaded the belt around it, and the next step is going to be to put the tensioner back on there. We're going to have one long bolt, one short bolt. The long bolt goes in the top hole of the tensioner, short bolt goes in the bottom. So I'm going to have to pause for a second, and I'll go ahead and install that tensioner. Okay, as you can see, the marks are lined up down here. I took the tension out of it. I went and looked at the cam gear on top, and it looks like it's off about a tooth. So I'm going to have to take the belt back off and move it forward. Because right now, it'd probably run, but it'd run like crap. You need to make sure that you got your timing marks lined up as close as possible. Tighten everything up. Give the motor 2 revolutions so that you come back to top dead center, number 1 compression, and your marks should line back up. So I'm going to go ahead and take the belt back off, reset the timing, move it 1 tooth forward on the cam gear, tighten everything up, give it 2 revolutions, and see if I come back to the same place. Okay, what I'm doing now is I'm going to set the tension on this tensioner. So I've got a small pry bar underneath it. You can see me, I'm going to lift up on this. And the bolts should be somewhere near where they were when you started, provided the belt isn't too worn. The belt stretched a little bit, it's going to go a little farther. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this tensioner up. And I'm going to tighten up some bolts. I'll put this on pause. Okay, I've not torqued these bolts yet, which I'll do eventually here. I'm just snugging them up. Okay, my marks are lined up on the crankshaft, and my marks are lined up on the camshaft. Everything looks good. Belt's on properly. Okay. Let's take a look at our tensioner down here. Okay, can you see I got this set just perfect. I can pull this out, I can push it back in. Pull it out, push it back in. So that's where you want your tensioner to be adjusted at. You should be able to pull it out and push it back in if you got it set correctly, which I do right now. Beautiful. Okay. Next step is going to be put the crankshaft bolt in, give it 2 full revolutions, and see if my marks come back, which I'm pretty confident that's going to happen. I'm going to do it anyway because that's procedure. Put it in, rotate it 2 full turns, line up your crank marks, and then recheck it. And then you'll be done. Okay, I got my crankshaft bolt in. Go ahead and rotate it twice. There's no spark plugs or rocker arms on it, so it turns real easy. There's once. Go around one more time. And always turn in the direction of your engine rotation. That way you don't put too much slack on the wrong side and make your belt jump. This is a good procedure for anybody. Don't ever turn your engine backwards. Okay. Marks are lined up. And my marks up here are lined up. Timing is done.